Welcome to Bible Reader Companion. We continue our studies this week, and we finalize this week in our studies in 1 Timothy chapters 1 and 2. We want to look at verses 8 through 10 of 2 Timothy chapter 2 today, and some things that Paul has to say. He says, beginning in verse 8 of 1 Timothy chapter 2, I desire therefore that the men pray everywhere, lifting up holy hands, without wrath and doubting. In like manner also, that the women adorn themselves in modest apparel, with propriety and moderation, not with braided hair, or gold, or pearls, or costly clothing, but which is proper for women professing godliness. This is a really important passage because what it says is that we need to think about our worship to God as more than just an outward appearance. This is a constant theme in the New Testament. Jesus often talked about letting your heart be right, not just your motions and your appearance of religion. He chided the Pharisees and the Sadducees frequently for their appearances of religion, but their inward corrupt hearts. And he says, when you come to God in prayer, men, when you come to God in prayer, lift up holy hands without wrath and doubting. Make sure that your attitude and your character doesn't mean we come to God as perfect. We already talked about the fact we're not perfect. We're sinners. But make sure we come to God with the right attitude, with the right mode, with the right motives. That we don't think that we can live in opposition to God all week, that we can mistreat people, that we can do all sorts of things that we know to be contrary to the will of God, and that somehow then we can turn to God in prayer, and somehow that makes everything all right. And then he turns to the women and he says, look, don't think that your fancy clothes and your gold ornaments are going to make you godly. This is a passage that is often used to teach that women shouldn't wear too few clothes, that they should wear enough clothes to be modest. But that's not the modest that he's talking about here. The modest here is in contrast to fancy, ornate, rich clothing. And the idea or the concept that somehow by wearing fancy clothes and fancy jewelry, I can somehow make myself godly. That's not what makes us godly. What makes us godly is who we are on the inside. That we represent in our hearts our godliness. And so we need to understand that when we go before God in worship, it's not just about wearing a suit and tie, or as we used to say, putting on your Sunday best. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being careful about what we wear when we approach God in worship. It was something God took very seriously in the Old Testament. But just putting on fancy clothes, just looking different as we go to worship God does not make us right and righteous. What makes us right and righteous is having hearts of godliness. We hope you've enjoyed our studies this week in 1 Timothy chapters 1 and 2, and we hope you'll join us again next week. Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook for more content like this.